Hey guys, Adam here with AmericanMuscle.com. Today we're taking a look at and installing the Roush Cold Air Intake fitting all 2018 EcoBoost Mustangs. Now if you're the owner of one of these four bangers, you know that the paper element filter that they come with is not really great for optimizing your airflow into the engine bay. If you're looking to get the best amount of airflow possible to your turbo, the Roush Cold Air Intake definitely does the job. As you can see, the Roush option has a very uniquely shaped airbox with a cutout here and a plastic cover. That way you can see directly into the filter and monitor its condition. You can look directly in and be able to tell if it's dirty, if it needs some cleaning, without actually removing it. The tubing itself, as well as the heat shield, are both roto-molded, which gives you a very clean airflow, very unrestricted airflow coming in through the air inlet, which this does retain all the way back to your turbo. This is going to help increase horsepower and torque. Although it does not require a tune, that would definitely maximize your gains here. If you're looking to get the absolute most out of these bolt-ons like a cold air intake, tuning your EcoBoost, we all know, can give you serious power gains. Now in addition to that, you get a better performing engine, a better throttle response. You might even hear a little bit more of a turbo whistle coming out of that thing as well. And you can pick yours up for just about $400 on the site here. The installation gets 1 out of 3 wrenches on our difficulty meter. Very simple hand tools you can tackle this one with in the driveway at home. You need a ratchet, a simple socket set, a couple of extensions, a T30 Torx bit, and I would definitely have a panel removal tool and some needle nose pliers on deck as well. I did this one myself in just a little under an hour, so you can probably do that as well. And I'm going to show you how that gets done, so let's get to it. All right guys, first things first, we have to disconnect the negative cable on our battery just to keep things safe. What you're going to do is remove your battery cover from your engine bay, set that aside, 10mm socket, loosen up the bolt, remove your negative cable on the battery. First step in uninstalling our factory airbox is to use a 7mm socket to loosen up band clamp holding on the factory airbox here. We're going to disconnect our sensor, pop off a couple of clips on the airbox itself, and pull it off. Next step to remove our factory air filter is to grab your ratchet, small extension, and your 10mm socket and remove the bolt holding it to the firewall. All right, there's a couple of hoses we have to disconnect from the factory tubing leading back to the turbo. Now I'm going to use needle nose pliers to disconnect some of the hose clamps. I can do some by hand with my thumb, which I'll show you in just a second. And then for the last clamp holding it to the turbo, you're going to want to have a decent extension, possibly a swivel socket to make your life easier, and then a 7mm socket for your last clamp. So what we're going to do now, disconnect those hoses with the needle nose, and we'll work from there. All right, so we're going to use our needle nose to disconnect the hose clamp on our air bypass valve hose. Go ahead and pinch that. If you are physically able, which I apparently am not. So here is this gray plastic PCV hose connect that you're going to remove. You can pinch this back with your needle nose pliers, or you can reach your finger in there. A little hot. Push up on the connect and disconnect it from the hose. All right, we've got our extension on our ratchet, our 7mm at the end of a universal swivel joint. I'm gonna go ahead and loosen up the clamp at our turbo. All right, we can rotate our clamp here and we'll be able to disconnect our hose from the turbo. And remove your factory hose from the engine bay. So we finally got our factory airbox off of our 2018 EcoBoost and on the table here sitting next to our Roush Cold Air Intake. You can see right off the bat several differences in the two different kits here. The biggest difference, of course, coming in with the air filter. Here is our Roush Cold Air Intake dry filter that we have versus the paper element filter from Ford. Now Ford typically does a really good job with the setup of their cold air intakes nowadays. You know, it's 2018, the new gens are pretty advanced with their technology, but they really dropped the ball on their air filters. This paper element filter doesn't do nearly as good of a job as our new cotton gauze filter from Roush. And this is reusable, washable, so you don't have to pick up a new one every couple thousand miles when it comes time for routine maintenance. It is worth noting that this is a dry filter, which basically means you don't have to re-oil it every time you pull it out to wash it. Now this one also has a very custom and unique shaped air box. Now Roush custom designed this not only to be a perfect fit to your 2018 EcoBoost, but it also gives you quick access to see the condition of your filter, so you can take a look at it under the hood without pulling it out to see its condition. Now aside from the filter itself and the air box, you're also getting a difference in the tubing. The roto-molded plastic on both the tubing and the air box allow for a better airflow. There's unrestricted tubing here, as opposed to the factory one with a lot of kinks and stoppages. It's got the same factory tubing here as your stock airbox tubing would have, so you can have your air bypass valve clip in, as well as the PCV fitting, without making any drilling modifications like some of the other brands would have you do. The airbox over here is definitely going to be an upgrade. As I mentioned before, this not only has that unique shape, but it also gives you a better filtration to keep that engine bay heat out while pulling in the cold air. As you can see, the Roush one does also have an air inlet tube, which is a really good design from the factory that you want transferred over to a cold air intake that you're purchasing, just like the Roush one has here. So that is a pretty big bonus in my personal opinion. Now that's gonna wrap up all the differences here and similarities between the two. So what do you say we get this installed? Now before we get our new Roush cold air intake installed, there's a couple of things we have to transfer over from the stock airbox to our new Roush one. That's gonna be this rubber grommet here, our steel spacer, and a couple more grommets here that we're gonna transfer over to the new one. And then we'll be using our new clamps provided by Roush. We'll assemble all that together and get it installed on our Mustang. All right, so we're gonna start here with this rubber grommet. I'm just gonna go ahead and twist and pull until this removes from your factory one. It'll come off in one piece. We're gonna transfer over to the Roush airbox here, just like our factory one. All right, next up we got this steel spacer. Now you wanna pull that spacer out of place first, and you'll be able to pinch and remove this grommet through one side. Now we're gonna go ahead and transfer that right over to our new one. I'm gonna put the flat side in first, kind of twist it and move it around in there. Then we're gonna grab our steel spacer, slip that into place. All right, so we're gonna flip our factory airbox upside down, and there's one more rubber grommet here. That one we can twist out of place. It's kind of got that arrowhead. We're gonna transfer this one over to the upside down portion of our Roush airbox. That's gonna slip into place here. Now this one might be a little bit tricky. It's got an oblong shape here. Snap that into place. There's one last thing we have to transfer over from our factory airbox to our new Roush one, and that's gonna be the sensor. Now it's gonna go from our factory airbox lid to our new Roush intake tube. So what we're gonna do is grab this lid here. We're gonna twist that sensor out of place and twist it right back into our filter tube here. So I'm gonna use a pair of needle nose pliers. There's a little arrow directing you where to twist underneath of that sensor there. So what I'm gonna do, grab this, I'm gonna rotate that just a little bit to loosen it up. And if you need help, you can always look directly in here and line up the shapes to make sure that you're pulling it out properly. All right, so we're gonna rotate this. All right, now we can take our new air filter tube. Now you can see the two shapes here. You want to make sure you're lining the big one up with the bigger hole in the new sensor and inlet. Push that into place. And rotate that all the way to lock it. All right, before we can install our new airbox from Roush, we have to remove some slack on the factory sensor harness. Now, as you can see, this only reaches so far. We're gonna need this to come out to a little bit farther to about here. In order to do that, you're gonna remove this plastic clip, which is held on to this bracket. You just simply pull that out. There's two more here. There's one gonna be on this sensor clip, and there's one down here on your firewall. So I'm gonna use a panel removal tool to help me with this. You can just use some good old-fashioned elbow grease to pull it out, but they can be a little bit tricky. I'm gonna slide this panel tool in here and pry up. That'll pop that out of place. Do the same thing on this sensor. Put those out of place, and now this last one. With all the clips out of place, that'll bring our harness all the way over to where our sensor is gonna mount. So we're gonna move our harness out of the way here for now. We're gonna drag that over to the front bumper. We're gonna put our entire air inlet assembly with the airbox into place. You're just gonna slide it in, try to match up the holes, and this is where the mounting screw is gonna mount. So we're gonna go ahead and slide this in. The factory 10mm bolt we removed in the beginning is gonna go back into place. Grab my extension and 10mm socket, we'll tighten that down. All right, next up we're gonna install our filter tube to our filter itself. You want to make sure you have that clamp around the filter before you start. I'm going to go ahead and put the tube with the sensor in place. Grab your 8mm socket, tighten this down, and then once we put it into place, I'll use my ratchet to get it tightened down all the way. Go ahead and take the whole assembly, feed it into place into the airbox. All right, now as you can see, there's going to be 2 pre-drilled holes that'll line up with some threaded holes in our airbox. We're going to use the hardware provided in the kit to tighten this down. All right, you got the 2 threaded holes here. You're going to grab your 10mm bolts provided by Roush and your socket. You might need an extension for this one. Go ahead and tighten these down. Now that we have that in place, we can take our sensor, plug it in here to the filter tube. Now if you remember those plastic clips that we removed earlier, now we have this all tucked in next to our airbox. Now there's a bunch of pre-drilled holes here that you can just take this plastic clip and snap it in from the bottom to get that to secure in place. Next up, we're taking our intake tube here. We've got our coupler. Now we're gonna put the coupler on the end here that's gonna connect to our turbo. Now as you can see, there are 2 different sized ends. The bigger size is gonna go over the tubing itself. I have to fight that on there with some elbow grease. The smaller end is gonna connect directly to the turbo. Now, you're given 2 clamps from the kit here. One's gonna be smaller, one's larger. Obviously, your larger one, you're gonna feed over and that's gonna hold it to the tubing. The smaller one is gonna hold it to the turbo. Now, when you're positioning these clamps, you wanna make sure you're positioning them that once it's installed in the engine, you have this rotated so it's easily accessible from up top here. If you have that clamp facing downward, it's gonna be hard to get to once you get it in the engine bay. So what we're gonna do is rotate this upward a little bit and tighten this first larger one down while it's outside of the car. Once we install this, we're gonna leave this slightly loose, connected to our turbo, and then tighten the second one down. This is how the tubing is gonna lay in the vehicle. That's gonna be down pretty far in the engine bay, so we wanna make sure that we're facing this upward. So we're gonna do it about there. I'm gonna tighten this down just enough so that it hugs the coupler, but it isn't too tight that we can't slide it over the turbo. All right, so you want to just feed this right around here. Make sure that this is going to connect to your filter tube. Might take a little twisting to get on there. There we go. Rotate that clamp and we can tighten it down from up here, but first we're going to connect our turbo side. There's only a couple more steps we have to finish up to get this install complete. Now that we have our tube connected to our turbo, we have that clamp tightened down. All we have to do is tighten down this clamp connected to our filter tube. We're gonna use our needle nose pliers to connect the air bypass valve tube as well as the PCV fitting to our new Roush tube, and then we'll throw on the top of our airbox. So let's get to it. There's 2 more hoses we have to connect to our tubing here. One's gonna be that PCV hose in the back there that we connected with our thumb. And the front one here is the one that we used our needle nose pliers to remove in the beginning of the video. So I'm gonna start in the back with the PCV hose. Now you can see you can pull it from up here, guide it with your finger, and just press down. You'll hear that snap into place. Now for this one, we can set it over top of the location. We're gonna use our needle nose pliers to pinch our hose clamp here and guide it back down. Once you have your hose clamp in place, we're gonna move on to the airbox cover. Last step in the process is the lid for our heat shield. Now it comes with self-tapping screws that we're gonna put in place here. And what you're gonna need to do, slide this into place underneath. That's gonna go underneath this extended firewall and underneath your bracket here that we touched on earlier. Just gonna work your way down and it'll seat itself. Now you'll see that there are those pre-drilled holes in the heat shield itself. These self-tapping screws are gonna go down. And we're gonna get these installed in place. All right, to get these installed, you'll need a T30 Torx bit on your end of the ratchet. You're gonna go ahead and place these all along the edges of our heat shield cover. All right, good to go. That's going to wrap this one up for the Roush Cold Air Intake. Now, if you're the owner of a 2018 EcoBoost and you're looking to ditch the factory air intake and that paper element filter, you might want to pick up the Roush one here that gives you a bump in horsepower and torque, better throttle response, better airflow to the engine, and overall a better design that even looks cool under the hood here. That clear cover on the top here lets you monitor that dry filter and lets you know when it's time to clean it and when it's not without even taking it off. So if you like the look of this and you want to get one for your EcoBoost, pick one up right here at AmericanMuscle.com.